Oh, hello, YouTube. I am back again with Season 1, Episode 3 of Murderbot. And you know what? I'm gonna get this out of the way right in the beginning of this video that this episode is kind of a waste of time. I think it's the problem is the episodes are so short. Like, this was 22 minutes long. They're going on like half-hour format rather than like hour-long format, which would be 44 minutes long. So yeah, it's just very short and too short to have anything of value happen. So let's break it down about what little happened in this episode. So as you can tell, I'm a little frustrated with it. So the episode starts off with the team all packing up because they're gonna get on the hopper and head over to Deltfall, which is like the other team on the planet. Mensah, Pinley, Rati, and Arata, they're all gonna go on the expedition, and Garothin and Bardwaj are gonna stay back at the habitat and like monitor things and do what have you. And 90% of the episode is with the away team. There's only like 1 minute really of footage of the B team or the stay-at-home team, and not a lot happens, but like, hey, TLDR on it. Bardwaj is basically not doing great emotionally after being attacked by a giant centipede monster, so she's kind of having a rough time. And Garothin is trying to help her as best as he can, but he's obviously, I think this character is being portrayed as someone who's perhaps like on the spectrum, and he doesn't necessarily know how to relate to this person on that level. So he's trying his best, and it's actually kind of sweet. You can tell that he really does care with everybody. He just has a hard time connecting to them. However, he does spend a good chunk of his 1 minute of screen time sneaking into Mensah's bedroom and like sniffing and hugging her pillow, which is creepy fucking behavior. But like, I understand the reason why. It's because he doesn't understand how to connect to her in real life, and he wants some type of connection to her. Anyway, that's it for B team. Let's go talk about A team, the expedition team. They're all on the hopper, and Murderbot is going to be accompanying them for, you know, security purposes. And honestly, Murderbot wants to be literally anywhere else than crammed into a small vehicle with all of these humans and like their pheromones they're putting off, because the new thruple are all going on this adventure and they are still trying to figure out like, how does this thruple work? Who does what where? You know, it's kind of that weird, awkward, we've hooked up, but now what situation. Regardless of all of the drama, Murderbot does technically want to go on this expedition because its job is to protect the humans it's assigned to, and that is the best way to protect them, is to accompany them. And just when Murderbot's like kind of resigned to the situation, good old Dr. Mensah comes over and is like, hey, Murderbot, how about you keep your helmet off on the mission? Because, you know, I want you to feel like you're part of the team. It'll remind everyone else you're part of the team. Which is really kind-hearted, and it's well-meaning, and completely the opposite of Murderbot's vibe. Murderbot would love to stay in the armor. It's a layer of protection from all of humans and all of their feelings. However, in the book, going forward, Mensah has this way of talking to Murderbot that makes it feel that it's part of the team, but she doesn't treat it as if it's a human, because Murderbot doesn't want necessarily to be considered human. She treats Murderbot like it's a robot, but also its own individual entity. So I think it's like a respect level that I think Murderbot really enjoys. And like, you know what? Mensah is Murderbot's favorite human. Murderbot says that itself. I am excited to see that relationship grow throughout the show. This is just kind of like the start of it. And it's not just Dr. Mensah, it really is the whole team. They all just want to be Murderbot's friend because they're like the most warm-hearted, well-meaning space hippies you'll ever meet. And especially in the episode, Rati. Rati keeps interrupting Murderbot in trying to like strike up a conversation and ask questions and, you know, be friendly. However, it just really annoys Murderbot because it's watching a brand new show called like Strife Galaxy, and the plot lines are just ridiculous, and it's not as good as Sanctuary Moon, but it is still fun, according to Murderbot. And really not a whole lot happens on this whole trip over to Deltfall. It is a long ride. I think it's at least probably 8 hours away. There's really only a couple things of note here, which is like the company satellite keeps cutting out periodically. Lee tells the group that they've been like tracking it to see if there's any big patterns in the outages. And Murderbot out loud confirms that that is what Lee has been doing, which is an oh shit moment for Murderbot, because now Murderbot has to tell the whole team that like part of its job is also keeping records on all of them as part of the company protocol. The team is not okay with this. It's an invasion of privacy. They are a bit upset. And it also starts making them a bit suspicious of Murderbot. Like, hey, Murderbot's from the company. The company's not on our side, and they're taking notes on us. Like, this is a problem, right? But Mensah still trusts Murderbot quite a bit. Treats Murderbot with respect, and she's like, okay, team, simmer down, it's gonna be okay, let's just keep going. What are we gonna do, turn back now, or we've gone too far? So anyway, time goes on, the team goes to bed for the evening, and it's late at night. Mensah's still awake, and she brings Murderbot over to the cockpit and have a one-on-one chat since everyone's asleep anyway. And Mensah's talking about Preservation Alliance, that's the planet we're there from, and how some of the other leaders on the planet are considering joining like the Corporation Rim. And they've always been independent. They're not part of the evil corporations that run the galaxy. And so the whole point of them going to this planet that they're on is that Mensah needs to find something of value, something that they can use to keep Preservation Alliance financially like independent. Otherwise, there's like a rising like vibe of people wanting to join the Corporation Rim. And then the conversation gets more personal, and Mensah starts talking about like her family and stuff, and it all just starts to be far too much interaction for Murderbot. It just abruptly says, I need to go check the ammunitions, and like flees the scene. So Murderbot's trying, I think, to handle these situations, but not doing well in execution. Doesn't know how to have a conversation or want to, really. So work in progress, you know? The cut to the team arrives at Deltfall, and Murderbot is trying to like ping the other habitat, the humans there, ping the other sec units there, and like nothing. They're not getting any reception from anything, not even pings back. So Murderbot tells Mensah, you need to land like outside the perimeter, because who knows, maybe there's dangerous creatures in there, and that's why they're not answering, because they've all been eaten. Surprisingly enough, Mensah says, okay, and like lands outside the perimeter. They actually listened to Murderbot for once. So Murderbot, Mensah, Lee, and Arata, they're all gonna head over to the habitat to like check on the team there. Rati has to stay behind on the hopper, because Rati didn't take weapons training back at the port because he was too hungover. So now, hey, you're stuck at home. And as they're heading towards the habitat, things aren't really looking up to snuff. It's oddly quiet. There's no signs of living people around. So Murderbot's like, hey, I need you all to stay here, and I'm gonna go ahead to the habitat on my own for safety. And guess what? Miracle number 2 in this episode, Mensah says, yeah, you're right. Okay, we'll stay here. You know, just listening to Murderbot when it gives advice. Who would have thought? But anyway, Murderbot heads over to the habitat. They get to the door and they're like, all right, I'm gonna blast this open. You know what? Let me just try the easy way. So Murderbot just literally opens the door, and guess what? It's unlocked. So red flag number 1 right there. Who doesn't lock their habitat, you know? Murderbot enters the habitat and is exploring, and very quickly finds the scene that we saw last week, where all 15 crew members are dead, along with their 3 sec units. So hello, welcome to red flags 2 through 19. This is a problem. Now, Murderbot has a bit of a dilemma here, because in its experience, when you tell humans that, hey, everybody's dead and they've been murdered horribly, they start to act irrationally and do dumb shit that Murderbot's just gonna go have to save them from. Murderbot decides to downplay the situation doesn't mention everyone's been murdered, just tells them no one needs help and the sec units are, turned off. Just trying to frame this in the nicest way possible. However, Murderbot also recommends that they get the hell back to the hopper immediately. Stat, right now, get out of here. Mensah picks up on this, that like something is very wrong here, so Mensah orders Murderbot to return to the hopper with them, looking out for Murderbot's safety. What a novel idea. And Murderbot doesn't really want to do that. Murderbot, for some reason, wants to keep exploring a little bit. So it fakes like static over the comm so it doesn't have to listen to her, which is a trick it learned from Sanctuary Moon. And like, it's so cute that it's learning about humans from like TV shows. So it keeps going through the habitat, and the scene laid out here is suspicious because honestly, it kind of reminds Murderbot of this episode of Strife Galaxy, the new show it was watching, because everything just looks way too clean, like it's staged. That's because it is. This is a staged scene because at that moment, one of the allegedly dead sec units wakes up and starts fighting Murderbot. Shots are fired, punches are thrown, etc. Murderbot ends up winning this fight by throwing the other sec unit into like this energy core. I don't really know what sci-fi gear is. I don't know what it does. I'm assuming it's some type of energy core, and it like disables the other sec unit. So Murderbot goes over to the sec unit and is like checking it out to see like, hey, why are you fighting people? Did you murder all your humans? And Murderbot finds that someone had like inserted a combat like control module into this particular sec unit, and that literally turns this sec unit into an actual murder bot. So, this is a bad situation to be in, but like, who could have done that? Because literally everybody's dead. And it's at this moment we see another sec unit on the scene who does not look like they came from the same company. They have a different color armor. And then boom, credits. That is the end of the episode. We barely got even a sec unit fight for like 1 minute of screen time. And then you get to the one interesting part. What is this sec unit doing there? Why are they making murder bots? And then you just go to credits? What the actual fuck? You know what I mean? This is why the episode needs to be longer. It's streaming. It's not, you don't have to like assign it like commercial time like you would do with a normal show. This is a streaming show that has no commercials. Make it like 27 minutes. Give us a few extra minutes of screen time, because honestly, there is a cut point coming up that would have been a much better ending of this episode. I'm sure we're going to see that next episode where like finally Murderbot and enemy Murderbot get into a big fight with dangerous conclusions that might lead the team to finally realize that Murderbot is a rogue sec unit. So that is coming up. Would have been a better ending of this episode, I think, but here we are. I mean, I'm not running this show, so what do I know? Let me know in the comments down below, what is one of the most unsatisfying endings / cliffhangers you've experienced? For me, this one is one of them. You got to a good part and you didn't even explore enough of it to make it feel good as a cliffhanger. So tell me what's that for you in the comments. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you're interested in cool exclusive content, including early access to videos or a book club, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Links for that are in the description down below. And on that note, I will see you guys soon. Goodbye.